Join me as we paddle down the Red Deer River and find a camping spot in some of the Badlands. I'll be using my inflatable raft, which seems to be cursed, and I've taken to calling it the Raft of the Damned. Hey, is Dave there?
So we're on our way down to the Red Deer River. There's a crossing down here, and it just gives you a feel for what we're going to be paddling through today. It looks amazing. And there's patches of this kind of Badlands all the way along the river. So we're going to find a bridge and get ourselves set up. But quite a nice approach. It's got me excited for the paddle.
Wow, this is a cool bridge.
That's Red Deer River. Okay, so what we're doing today is we're going to go down the Red Deer River. It's about a 20-kilometer paddle. The river's moving really slow, much slower than I had planned, but we want to camp in some Badlands. And along the Red Deer River, obviously there's Dinosaur Provincial Park and Drumheller, but above all those, there's miscellaneous Badlands around here that are part of Crown Land. So we're going to go find a spot to camp. I'm blowing up my pack raft right now, and this does look like a bit of an effort-intensive exercise, but it really does work. You just have to stick with it. So, trying to get air into the raft, and once I get it blown up, we'll get everything loaded up and we'll show you what we're going to do. So, I've got my pack raft blown up. Here I am. As usual, it seemed to overfull. I don't know how I could have gone lighter other than this is a big sleeping bag that Tina and I wanted to try out. She tried to refurbish it and wash it. It came out of the cottage as one of those old down woods bags. So I could be smaller here. I did have another piece of equipment I want to put in, and I've opted not to take it. What I did forget, I forgot a nice set of earbuds to play music on the river. And I also forgot a patch kit. You think I would have learned from the last time I was out, but the raft is patched, it looks good, and I'll just have to cross my fingers, hope Tina doesn't have to pick me up somewhere along the way. Well, here we go. I started on the river. There's the bridge I started at. It's moving really well, which is nice. It's faster than it looks. You can see these are the kinds of Badlands we're looking for. They're littered along the Red Deer River in this stretch. You just got to find a piece. There's obviously some parks and things that you can't go into, but there are some public access areas that you could if you just had water access. So I'm going to float into one of those, and I'm going to do a dry camp. I'm not going to try and do anything that would damage, obviously, the environment, and then pick up tomorrow morning and go. So I've got my jet boil, I've got freeze-dried food, I have a good raft that is holding up, as you can see. So I always like to check these things out when you see them. You never get a chance again. But along these mudstone banks, I'll back it up for you. Along these mudstone banks, often you see these cave-like things. I wonder if they're natural or doubt. This looks natural to me, but we'll go take a look at it here. So as we get farther back in here, I suspect what you'll see, sorry. So as we get farther back in here, I'll get the light on now. I suspect what you see is really just a drainage hole that's developed, and it has resulted in this little mud cave. Quite interesting. If I back up, you can see the whole thing there.
If you're interested in the depth of the river at this time of year, it's not very deep. Here's an underwater shot showing how close the gravel bottom is a lot of the time, and there's often sandbars you need to navigate. I tried to do a little close-up of a river bird fishing from one of the sandbars. It's blurry, but you get the idea. It's an egret of some type. So it does feel like I have a small leak going on. There's an old software saying I don't test often, but when I do it in production. Well, this is similar. I should have tested this patch, but I was in a hurry to get out here. 2 beautiful days on the river. The weather was perfect, and it appears I'm testing in production. Now, I don't think it's too detrimental right now. It's not gushing water. I've got a little water around my bottle, but there is a bit of a leak, and I'll probably stop the drain around a few times during the trip. That's okay. There's nothing big on this river that I can recall, but it always is good to look ahead, and you can see just a few little whitewater bumps there. So there's a small rapid around this island. We'll go down and check it out, but I don't think it's going to be anything too significant. It's just good to keep an eye on the river. You never know what you're going to run into, especially if it's your first run down. Which I think is about halfway. It's doing okay, but there's a lot of water in it. More than what would have accumulated from just paddle drips and me bringing my feet in and out. So I'm sure there's a slow leak. But when you look at the integrity of this raft in general, all the flotation's around the side, and that's fine. So when you put the gear in, it floats fine. As long as the bottom stays whole and doesn't rip wide open, I'm good. Except I'm wet, so I'll So down to that corner, I think, is my pullout. You can see some rocks sticking out there. It's a beautiful evening. Sun's out, ball of fire in the sky. I've got another kilometer, and then I can pull the pack raft out and take a look around and find a campsite. So I made it to my pullout. I had to empty the raft about 4 times every couple of kilometers or so. Here's one of the patches I put on, and it looks like it's pulled up at the corner here, but there's an inside patch, so I think that's okay. I did have a patch on a few of these pinholes from my last adventure, and I think that these are the things that are leaking. So now the overall raft, like I said, will float fine. The front is good where all the equipment sits. So as long as it doesn't split open on me tomorrow, I should be able to make it down, but it will take a little more effort. I've got my raft stashed away. The river's over here. I put a few rocks in it, but you always are concerned that something's going to get added or the wind's going to blow it. It's well up off the river. I think it'll be safe, but if anything happens to this raft, I'll be walking out. So I'm going to work my way up and find a campsite. I looked around and it was very brushy. It's hard to get off the river's edge. So I thought, well, maybe the best way to get up there is to take the path of least resistance. This looks like the path of least resistance. It's a dry creek bed. It goes up into the Badlands, I'm sure. And if we just follow it, we can see what we find. So this is pretty cool. Look at this. Wow. It's kind of creepy. Look up here. Like a woodpecker nest or hole. But look at here. I think this will get me through. I just got to navigate this log here. Trying to find a nice sunny warm spot to set up and dry off. And this looks like it might do the trick if I can get up to the top of it without running into a major roadblock. Oh, that's a little tricky. You can see the deer coming up here as well. Okay, I'm going to go up over this. Ooh. A little tricky, but still easy walking.
find where the animals go is often easiest. And I see a lot of deer tracks going in and out of this gully. Oh, you see that? That was a grouse. We'll see if we can get a shot of it. Just flew out of the tree. Where are you, grousey? He's gone up the edge, but you can see the edge is coming quick here. Whew, so that was not easy coming out of that gully down there. It got me part of the way, and maybe it would have got me the whole way, but I bush crashed up this hill. And then you start to realize there's got to be a better way to do this. And you look down there, there's a nice beaten path, and the gully right beside it to go up. Well, there's always an easier way, but often it takes you doing it the hard way to figure it out. Now, I never thought of Alberta as a place for cactus, but as you see in these dry regions, they're actually quite abundant, and you got to be careful where you walk. Well, it's hard to know where to set up exactly. This is an interesting little mud bridge I'm going to go across. I'll set up maybe over on that wall. So I feel pretty good about the spot. It's not perfectly isolated from the back wall. I was hoping it was its own little dry island, but it is not. But if we look around, it looks like I got about an hour of sunshine, so I got to get my camp set up, get some dinner in me. But it's a gorgeous view. And it's somewhat isolated. That mud bridge, I don't think any animals will come across. They'll just leave me alone. I'm out here, the sun's going down. I got the tent set up, I'm ready. I need to get a bit of food. I've got a good cooking area here. It's like little rock tables. But first, I need to have a beer and celebrate what went right. I'm here, I'm feeling good, it's gorgeous, it's a perfect evening. And ignore the stuff that went wrong. Because some stuff did go wrong. My raft leaked, some of my patches didn't hold. That happens. So, on these adventures, sometimes shit goes wrong. And that's okay. And you just got to deal with it. Now, I like that. I think I'm going to make that one of the rules. Cheers. So I've got beef stroganoff, the water boiled, and it's stewing, so to speak, right now. But what I thought I'd try to do today is do some bannock. So I put some bannock mix, which is very simple. It has some sugar and baking soda, and there's no yeast. It's a very simple bread. And flour, of course. I can't recall what else I put in there because I made this a bag a few trips ago. But I thought it'd be a good night to do it, so I'm going to try and pull off a little bit of bread with the stroganoff. So I think the right way to do this is I mix it up in the bag. I'm going to get my knife and cut the corner and extrude, to keep everything clean, extrude the batter and boil it with some oil. So we'll see how that goes. I'll show you a close-up when I get it going, but that's what we're going to try and do here to add a little bit of something interesting to the meal. Well, I would say a success. Here's the result. Here's your bread, if you want to look at it. It's dense but good. I made a few mistakes. I tried to dump the whole bag in here, which is obviously wrong. I have way too much dough in here, so I had to take half out. I'm going to cook a piece for tomorrow. But you've got to get it flat and in smaller pieces. But it did cook through. The jet boil wasn't happy about me putting the pan on top. I had to hold it, so I won't bore you with any of the footage of it, but I would say it's a pass. Yeah. Just got to wait for my stroganoff to cool, and away we go. So I've had a few of these different meals. This is stroganoff. Tina and I did lasagna. I did a beef stew on one of my other adventures. And I mean, none of them are great to look at, but really you try to bring in something lightweight and is edible. I would say the stroganoff's edible. I think if I had to pick between the three of them, I would take the lasagna, but the stroganoff's a strong second. Now this is what it's like to sleep in a bivvy. You have no room. I always try and leave the fly off if I can to give myself a little more oxygen because it's pretty tight. But here we are, tucked in. We'll see how it goes tonight. Well, it's cold night. I'm not sure this bag is worth saving. I got hunkered way down in it and managed to get some rest. I had to put on my really warm hat. I'm sure it went down to about 0 degrees, but it's a gorgeous morning right now if we look around. Look at that. But it's kind of waiting. I want the sun to come up. It's about 7. Try and warm things up a little bit before I get out and move around. So I'll give it another half an hour or so. Of the things happening last night as the sun was going down, flocks of geese were coming in over my head. I couldn't get a good shot of them, but it's interesting. They come over in groups, and you could hear the wind going over their wings as they were breaking, going into the river. And now, of course, they're getting ready to lift off. You can hear the commotion. So the little bivvy worked good. I left the fly off so I could see the stars last night, and I did see probably half a dozen really nice shooting stars, one very bright one about the middle of the night. But what was weird is where I was camping, and I don't know if that's part of the area, is I had an infestation of ladybugs. They were on me and I had to flick a bunch off. There's 2 of them there, but I had a few of them in here, and I wondered if I brought them with me, but I don't think so. I think they were just here and crawled in. So for whatever reason, the ladybugs liked the bivvy. As you can see, I didn't realize this until I started packing it up. The ladybugs or ladybirds really like this tent for whatever reason. So it wasn't in my mind when you look at that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 ladybugs all together. A special treat for breakfast this morning. I've got some of the bread I kept from last night. Still looks yummy. Chaga tea, and of course breakfast was a standard paddler's breakfast of oatmeal, so this is going to add a little bit more substance to my meal. Well, it's a beautiful morning. I'm still taking on water. I've got about probably 8 to 10 kilometers to go. I'm going to get there around noon if I'm lucky. That's my pickup time. But I am going to be slowed down. It feels like I'm taking on more water than yesterday, but there is a point at which at least it reaches equilibrium, and the amount of water inside kind of balances with the leak pressure from the outside, I think. So anyway, I'm going to carry on here. I'm trying to pick targets along the river and as points to do an empty. So it's a bit slow going. I'm managing this leak and trying to get down to the pullout. I think I'm over 6 kilometers still. So still significant ways to go, but making headway. There's a big camp here of canoers. I'm not sure what they are doing, but we'll go by them. I did find that if I moved my padded seat over the main leak and put pressure on it, I can slow it down. So I'm hoping that'll speed up my progress. And my progress isn't quite as good as I want it to be, but you know what? Sometimes it's just perseverance and effort. So I'm going to keep pushing through. I'm going to call Tina and make sure she knows I'm running late. But I am making progress. So doing the best I can. It's interesting when you have some of these mishaps. So I'm going to get some water in me, make sure I don't get dehydrated, and a little bit of sugar or snack, and then carry on. So I'm assuming you can hear that. That's always a telltale sign of something going on. I got a little rapid here coming to the corner. Water is creeping back in, and it's from a pinhole. So I'll show you the cause and why my carelessness resulted in a wet bump. Still a pretty nice day. Getting a bit of a wind push, and I've got a bit of connectivity here, so I'm going to do a check-in. So here we are, we made it. My wife was a little worried, I was in late. I didn't get a ton of video on the last half of the river, and quite frankly it's because things are getting wet. The raft was not cooperating, it was leaking worse. I think I've lost all of my patches. At one point I debated calling it the Raft of the Damned, but I'm going to pull that back because, you know, I realized that one, a lot of it was self-inflicted, but two, this river has given me a lot of trouble. So it's very strange to me how the first day of the trip was so beautiful and perfect, and even with a leaky raft I was having a great time. But the second part of the trip I ran into gravel beds and weird currents, these weird eddy currents, and a horrendous headwind. And it seems to me that times I've paddled this river and been on the lower half of it, I've run into these similar types of conditions. So maybe Red Deer River is the river of the damned. I don't know. I remember getting off the river and the sense of relief I had that the adventure was over. But looking back on it, and I suppose this is true of all Type 2 fun, it was a cool trip. Now join me for the next one, where I check out a natural hot spring and I find the caves where Rambo was filmed. Please like and subscribe if you want to keep the adventures rolling. Dave's not home, man.